Hey guys, what's up? It's Katy and I'm back with another Marvel Contest of Champions video, and today I'm going to be talking about Warlock. Now, Warlock, he's an alien, and his race was a sentient form of techno-organic life, and they were known as Technarchy. I think I said that right. Which they kind of look robotic, and if you see, yeah, he looks pretty robotic. Now, in order to live, Warlock infects, so to speak, this beings or organisms with this virus known as the transmode virus, and that drains the life glow, as he calls it, or which is essentially the life force or life energy of the organism. So that's kind of how he sustains here on Earth, and we'll get into that in a little bit. Now, he can also shapeshift, which we'll see in the game, which if you've run through the event contest, you already know he can totally shapeshift into some crazy things, but we'll get into that a little bit later. But he ends up, once he gets to Earth, he can shapeshift into human form, and that he uses that to his advantage. Now, the offspring of the Technarchy, they had to prove their, right to exist, which is pretty insane. And how they did that was they battled their parents to the death. So it was either, parents kill offspring or offspring kill parents. I guess it's kill or be killed. Now, Warlock was actually the son of Magus, or Magus? Magus, that's how it is. And Magus was the ruler of their planet. And Warlock realized that he did not want to battle his father to the death. And that kind of deemed him a mutant on his planet. And, he was like, he felt like his father was going to kill him. So, in fearing that he would be killed by Magus, he fled his planet and was attracted to Earth by this crazy unusual energy. And on his way to Earth, he crashed through asteroid M, which was the base for Magneto, destroyed it, and crash landed in right near Professor X's mansion, and that's where all that crazy, unusual energy he felt he was attracted to. Now, when he first crashed there, he was kind of angry and disoriented, and he clashed really hard with the New Mutants. And this clashing with them, it put him on the brink of death because of how he has to, get the life force and that sort of thing. So the New Mutants, they called upon their friend Doug Ramsey to try to talk to Warlock, see if he could, which Doug Ramsey, is also known as Cypher. And this is Doug Ramsey here. But anyway, so Doug was actually able to communicate with Warlock, and the two became really good friends. And Warlock Warlock refers to him as Self. So that's how he refers to himself, and then he refers to the other New Mutants as Self Friends, but he refers to Doug as Doug Friend. The two were pretty much inseparable. They were really close, really tight. And then Warlock discovered that he could actually fuse with Doug, and he would merge with him both physically and mentally. And so he did that a couple times and was kind of almost like a shield for Doug. But then, he soon discovered that the transmode virus that he used to help fuse him to Doug could permanently infect Doug, which then would merge them permanently together. And that actually does kind of sort of happen later on. But we will get into that in a little bit. So then Warlock actually left the New Mutants when Sunspot left the New Mutants, because he was afraid for his Self Friend. So he kind of ran off looking for Sunspot and tried to help Sunspot. And when they joined up with the Fallen Angels for a time, and then they returned to the New Mutants. And when they returned to the New Mutants were battling Cameron Hodge and the Right. And in doing so, while they were battling them, Doug actually jumped in front of a bullet to try to save Wolfsbane, ended up taking the bullet and died. And Warlock, he actually watched, I think it was Night of the Living Dead, and realized that that there were zombies and that he could reanimate them. So he fused with Doug's body and, went back to give Doug's family kind of closure and stuff. And the New Mutants were like, no, you can't do that. Put Doug back. But in doing so, later on, he did actually return Doug to his grave. And later on, Warlock did die from Hodges, and his body turned to ashes. And the New Mutants, well, they thought he was dead, but they spread his ashes over Doug's grave, and he essentially fused with Doug later on, and they became Doug Lock. But that's a whole nother comic series, and I could dive deep into Doug Lock, but this video would be so crazy long. So let's go ahead and take a look at the Mcoc Warlock. So this is him here, and he looks pretty similar to how he is in the comics, right? He's a little more shiny, a little more blinged out, but maybe Kabam was trying to be a little more flashy. But let's go ahead and take a quick look at his abilities. And so his signature ability, now remember, these are for a 565 Sig 200, so just keep that in mind when looking at this. And these were the leaked abilities, so let's just keep that in mind. Now, a signature ability is when the opponent's power is drained or burned, they degenerate, dealing X amount of direct damage over 2 seconds. So it looks like Kabam is definitely introducing more degeneration champs into the game, and also this kind of works with the transmode virus. It's almost like he's taking the life glow, so to speak, away from his opponent. Now, if you look at his bio, it's all crazy. But much harm will come to any who attempt to hurt self or self-friends. And I do like that they did take that from the comics. That is how he refers to himself and to his friends, like I said, as self or as self-friends. So let's take a look at his abilities real quick. He's immune to bleed, poison, cold snap, and frostbite. And I love the fact that he is immune to cold snap and frostbite. We definitely need to see more champs immune to this. I love that Kabam's coming up with that and just not making them, go unstoppable or that sort of thing. I love the immunities champs. I think that makes them have great utility. His Technarch form grants Warlock a permanent armor up buff, increasing armor rating by plus 700 if this buff is removed for any reason. It will refresh itself after 10 seconds, So probably if you nullify it, it'll just come back up after 10 seconds. While this buff is active, or armor break too. While this buff is active, opponent's special attacks cannot be critical. So he can't crit on his special attacks when this armor up buff is up. Is up. Armor up buff is up. Now, the opponent gains a charge of techno-organic transmode virus on contact, which is not affected by ability accuracy. Once the opponent has 20 charges, they are removed and replaced with 1 infection passive that lasts for 20 seconds. The duration is decreased by 6 seconds for each unique buff on the opponent when it activates. Now, during this, the opponent is heal blocked. If the salve mastery is active, the mastery is removed. The opponent has minus 30% offensive ability accuracy, and whenever the opponent would gain health while infected, they drain 5% of their current power over 0.5 seconds. So this does make him kind of a power control champ. Now, blocking, if the block was well timed, so if you parry, the opponent gains 3 virus charges. If the hit was non-contact basic attack, the opponent instantly drains 10% of their current power. So that's pretty awesome. Now, his heavy attacks, he does inflict a bleed, which deals 2185, almost 2186 damage over 5 seconds. So a bleed over 5 seconds, that's a decently long bleed if you think about it. Now let's go ahead and take a look at his special attacks. Special one is called the Mega Buster, and self-utilizes limbs to push the opponent back. Creation of energy blaster for intense disharmony result. The last hit shocks the opponent, dealing 51.5 energy damage over 10 seconds. If they are infected, this also triggers when the attack is activated, but lasts half as long. The first hit removes all infections to passively drain 25% of the opponent's max power over 5.5 seconds for each infection removed. Now, the special 2 is called the Pinwheel and Pummel. Rotation of self's arms to induce trauma. Surprise attack shall take place as self-utilized face as mallet. The final hit places 2 armor break debuffs on an opponent, each reducing armor rating by 2100 for 10 seconds. If they are infected, the debuffs also trigger when the attack is activated but lasts half as long. And the last hit refreshes 1 infection. So the special 2 is definitely going to be easier to dodge than the special 1. And special 3, I just love the name of this, the Dine and Smash. I mean, all his specials are named really cool, but the Dine and Smash, that can sound so dirty though, Kabam. I think you like throwing these in here. Maximum aggression against opponent, technique analysis, maldigestion, and forceful collision against object wall. Inflict a passive power burn on the opponent, draining 100% of their current power over 5.5 seconds and dealing damage proportionate to the amount lost. Regenerate 1243.7 health for each infection the opponent has. So the more infections you have, the more you're gonna regenerate. So it's kind of very similar, or excuse me, not very similar, I don't know what I was going to say there, but this works really well. So if you're in a jam, it's almost like Omega Red. When you're in a jam, you can drain the power and you can life steal. So with this one, you can drain the power and, you know, regenerate. So this is going to make him have a ton of utility and a ton of sustainability. And I'm really pumped for that. Now let's look at his champion synergies. And I love that they have the one named Self Friends with Magic and Sunspot, which Magic, there was this whole big thing in the comics with Magic and Warlock when she kind of sent the guy that caused a whole bunch of problems into limbo, but they were really tight. She was one of his very good self-friends. So Warlock special attacks generate 70% less power in opponents. Magic attack rating is increased by 50% while in limbo, and Sunspot incinerates have 25% increased duration. This is a really good synergy for Magic, and I'm a big Magic player. I know there are a lot of Magic players out there. She's a great champion, and so this is a huge bonus for Magic. All right, Robot Uprising with Ultron Classic, Ultron, which, you know, is Labyrinth of Legends Ultron. I can talk. Ultron Vision and Age of Ultron Vision. Whenever any teammate would receive a debuff they are immune to, they gain a Fury buff, increasing attack by 60% for 6 seconds. Now this is another decent synergy. Do I think it's as good, you know, probably as the one with Magic or Sunspot? No, because are you really going to use Ultrons? Probably not. Now, OG Vision for sure, right? He's great. He's a good power control champ, so he would be useful to bring with that. Now, going viral with Cable, and there was a big thing with Strife, so I'm not going to get into who Strife is because this video will be 40 minutes long. But if you know who Strife is, you know why Cable is in this going viral with Warlock. So Warlock, whenever the opponent would gain 1 or more virus charges, 50% chance for them to gain an additional charge. Cable, the ability accuracy of Cable's regeneration effect is increased by 10%. Now this isn't, you know, a great synergy. It's probably the least beneficial out of them. I would definitely say the Self-Friends with Magic is the best. And then you have the Mutant Agenda with Domino, Magneto, and Magneto Marvel Now, where all champions gain plus 12% special attack damage. That's a decent one too. So overall, he's got pretty good synergies. I'm definitely happy with that. And once again, I love how Kabam has tied stuff in from the comics into this champ. I love these little Easter eggs. And you guys, I have decided that because I kind of like how Warlock seems, and it's almost like he's designed for Variant 3. Oh, by the way, this information was data mined by Otrix and Mcoc Journal. I think I forgot to mention them. If I did, I'm sorry, I apologize. Definitely go check out their Twitter page. Otrix has got a Discord. They put great stuff in there. Lot of information. Definitely go check it out. But anyways, back to the news. So I kind of like how Warlock is looking. So I'm going to do something crazy. And I am going to do the featured grind for Warlock this Thursday. So I hope to catch all of you guys there as I grind my little heart out. But I hope to see all of you there, self friends. Anyways, guys, thanks so much for watching. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think of Warlock? Do you think he's going to be a good champ? Do you think I'm crazy to grind for him? Will you be grinding for him? Or will you be opening some crystals for him? Let me know in the comments below and let's discuss. As always, guys, thanks so much for watching. If you guys liked what you saw and you want to see more, please remember to like and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter and hit me up in the Discord chat. Thanks, guys. Bye.